She sits in front of the offer, the job, the promotion, the email with next level written all over it. Her chest tightens, her mind races, her mouth dries, and she starts to tell herself stories. I'm not ready. It's too much right now. I need more clarity first. What if I fail? So she waits. She postpones. She says no, but calls it alignment. She says not yet, but means never. And no one questions it because on the surface she looks composed, polished, put together. A woman with potential, a woman who knows her worth. But beneath the surface, something else is happening. She's shrinking. Not because she's lazy, not because she's unqualified, but because something inside her hasn't grown up yet. This is not an insult. It's a truth we must learn to name without shame. In Jungian terms, this is the moment the heroine's journey begins, not when she steps into the world, but when she admits she's been hiding from it. That behind every avoidance is not lack of ability, but lack of inner readiness. That every opportunity she missed was one she quietly declined, not out of logic, but out of fear. This is the modern crisis of feminine ambition. Not that women don't have dreams, but that many of them don't yet have the internal structure to hold those dreams. They've been taught to want success, but not how to carry responsibility. They've been praised for being capable, but never trained in resilience. They've been told to manifest, but not how to metabolize pressure. And so they float between longing and retreat, never fully rising, not because they don't want to, but because rising would require them to confront something terrifying, their unfinished self. Let's be honest. Many women today are externally accomplished, but internally avoidant. They know how to perform, but not how to lead. They know how to charm, but not how to confront. They know how to market themselves, but not how to stay grounded when challenged. When things get hard, they don't grow stronger, they disappear. They ghost their dreams. They numb out with busy work. They abandon projects. They procrastinate until the opportunity expires. And then they blame the system, or the timing, or someone else, or themselves. But blaming isn't the point, claiming is. Claiming that something inside you needs to evolve if you are ever going to stop sabotaging what you secretly want. Claiming that your delays are not always wise, they are often afraid. Claiming that you have said no to becoming the woman your destiny keeps inviting you to become. Carl Jung believed that every human has a path to wholeness, and that this path begins not with external movement, but with inner integration. You must bring the unconscious to light. You must face the fear, the fragility, the hidden belief that says, if I step up, I will collapse. If I say yes, I will be exposed. If I take that job, I will finally have to prove myself, and maybe I can't. These beliefs don't come from nowhere. They are usually rooted in a childhood where responsibility felt heavy, where being seen meant being judged, where perfection was the price of love, or chaos taught you to stay small to survive. You learned to stay where it was safe, to do what was expected, to never take up too much space. And now, as an adult, every big opportunity feels like a threat to that safety. But here's the thing, you can't wait until you feel ready to rise. That moment may never come. What you can do is choose to become the woman who can rise one small act of responsibility at a time. One broken pattern at a time. One truth-telling moment at a time. This is not about hustle culture. This is not about pushing through trauma. This is not about faking confidence. This is about finally growing the inner muscles required to meet the life you say you want. You want the title. Can you handle the weight? You want the business. Can you make a decision when no one validates you? You want leadership. Can you stay steady when people criticize you? You want purpose. Can you keep going when it's boring and lonely and not sexy? These are the questions the immature self avoids. She wants the crown, but not the climb. She wants to be chosen, but won't commit. She wants to feel empowered, but refuses to pick up the tools that make power possible: focus, discipline, follow-through, humility. In Jungian language, she is still in the early stage of the heroine archetype. She is dreaming but not yet acting. She is aspiring but not yet integrating. She has not crossed the threshold. She is still circling it, waiting for a sign. Waiting for permission. But there is no permission. only initiation. And initiation begins when you realize you are the one who must give yourself the life you say you deserve. So if you're procrastinating, if you're hiding, if you're delaying every opportunity that scares you, ask yourself, what am I afraid to lose? And more importantly, what am I afraid to become? In the next part, we'll explore how this inner immaturity shows up, not just in action, but in mindset. We'll compare the truly mature woman with the one who only looks grown. And we'll begin the work of dismantling the beliefs that keep you saying no to your own potential. But for now, sit with this. You are not behind. You are just being invited to grow, and your fear is not a stop sign, it's a doorway, and your job is not to wait until you're brave. Your job is to grow strong enough to carry the future that's trying to reach you. She knows how to network, she knows the keywords, she's articulate, presentable, and knows how to get the interview. Her resume is polished, her calendar full. To the outside world, she is the very definition of a successful grown-up woman. But peel back the surface and a different picture emerges. She avoids conflict. She takes feedback personally. She delays uncomfortable conversations. She often needs praise to stay motivated. She struggles to make decisions without overthinking. She chases visibility but crumbles when truly seen. She has a big dream, but small tolerance for discomfort. This is the gap no one wants to talk about, the space between appearing grown and being emotionally mature. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to function in society. It's the role we perform, the version of ourselves that fits the mold. The problem isn't the persona itself. We all need one. The danger is when the persona becomes so convincing that we start believing it's all we are. This is the tragedy of modern professionalism. Women are taught how to perform competence, but not how to embody it. They're taught how to build brands, but not how to build inner resilience. They're taught how to lead meetings, but not how to lead themselves through fear, failure, and fatigue. So what you get is a generation of high-functioning women who are burnt out, brittle, and terrified of being found out. True maturity, Jung would say, is not about perfection. It's about integration. It's about owning your fears instead of masking them, taking responsibility for your procrastination instead of rationalizing it, choosing discomfort over avoidance, listening to feedback without collapsing, admitting that part of you is scared and choosing to act anyway. Let's break it down. A superficially mature woman performs confidence to avoid looking weak, seeks permission disguised as collaboration, gets addicted to inspiration but avoids deep work, blames burnout for lack of consistency, uses language like alignment to mask avoidance, confuses anxiety with intuition. A truly mature woman knows confidence comes after action, not before, knows that clarity comes through movement, not waiting, can be uncomfortable without needing to escape, doesn't need praise to be consistent, owns her resistance and works with it, builds systems to support her higher self. The difference is not talent, it's inner development. It's who she has chosen to become when no one is watching. It's the quiet work she does when she's scared and no one's clapping. It's the ability to self-regulate in moments when her nervous system screams, run. Because if you don't learn to sit with fear, your entire career will be designed around avoiding it. You'll pick roles where you feel safe, not stretched. You'll choose collaborators who flatter, not challenge you. You'll stay in the zone of almost ready for years. And you'll wonder why your life feels small. Let me be blunt, your potential does not care about your feelings. It will not wait for you to feel ready. It will not adapt itself to your emotional avoidance. It is not there to coddle you. It's there to initiate you. Every opportunity that terrifies you is not a threat. It's a mirror. It's showing you the parts of yourself that still need to grow. The parts that can't yet hold power. The parts that sabotage when under pressure. The parts that collapse when seen. And you don't fix those parts by staying small. You fix them by stepping forward and allowing the discomfort to reshape you. This is how the heroine is born, not through achievement, but through initiation. Through facing the dragons inside you, procrastination, defensiveness, comparison, fear of failure, need for validation. One by one, you face them, not to defeat them, but to integrate them. To understand why they exist, to hold them with compassion, and to lead anyway. So if you feel like you've been circling your next level for months, maybe years, ask yourself, what part of me is afraid to own power? What would I have to let go of in order to grow? What truth am I avoiding in the name of being realistic? What am I calling alignment that is actually fear in disguise? Your real career doesn't begin when someone hires you. It begins when you hire yourself, when you say, I am responsible for my rise. Not my coach, not my boss, not the algorithm, me. That is when you shift from a woman who waits to a woman who leads. And in the next part, we'll walk through exactly how to do that by rewriting your own story using the Jungian model of the heroine's journey. You'll learn how to stop looping the same chapter and start living as the protagonist of your evolution. Because you were not born to stay in rehearsal. You were born to take the stage. Every woman has a story she's been telling herself. Some of those stories sound like I'm not good with pressure. I work better alone. I'm waiting for the right sign. I don't know enough yet. It's just not aligned. And while these stories may feel true, they often come from a version of you that hasn't yet been tested. Not the grown version. Not the one who's ready to rise. But the part of you still shaped by fear, shaped by rejection, shaped by playing small to stay safe. Carl Jung didn't just help us understand the psyche, he gave us tools to transform it. One of the most powerful is the symbolic structure of the heroine's journey. Unlike the hero's journey, which focuses on conquering the external world, the heroine's journey is about facing the inner world. It's about descent, confrontation, and integration. And for women especially, it's a map for growth through honesty, not performance. So let's rewrite your story using that map. Stage 1. The separation. Hearing the call. At first, everything looks fine. You have a job, a life, a routine. But underneath, there's restlessness. You start to hear whispers. This isn't it. You're meant for more. You're hiding. The call doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with dissatisfaction. You start to feel misaligned with the version of yourself you've been playing. And you have two choices: ignore the call or accept it. To begin your journey, you must accept the truth. Your comfort is not your destiny. Write this down. What is the call I've been hearing but avoiding? Stage 2. The descent into the shadow. This is where it gets hard. The moment you say yes to more, your shadow shows up. All your old patterns rush in: procrastination, fear of judgment, avoidance, imposter syndrome. This is not failure. This is the initiation. Jung called this meeting the shadow, the part of you you've rejected or repressed. You start to see how often you quit early, how often you pretend you're fine to avoid conflict, how often you delay important decisions. The descent isn't pretty, but it's necessary. Write this down. What parts of myself do I meet whenever I try to rise? Stage 3. The mirror. Recognizing the false self. Now you begin to see the version of you who's been running the show, the persona. The woman who looks grown up but isn't rooted. The version of you who's been performing confidence but panicking inside. She's not bad. She's not fake. She was necessary. But she's not enough for where you're going. This stage asks you to release her with compassion, to stop clinging to the mask, to say, thank you for getting me here. But I'm ready for truth. Write this down. What version of me am I afraid to let go of? Stage 4. The trial. Choosing responsibility. This is the turning point, the place where you stop waiting and start choosing. It's not dramatic. It's daily. You show up for your work when it's not exciting. You follow through on small promises. You make decisions without outsourcing them. You say yes before you feel ready. This is where power is built. Jung said wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration, and integration happens when action aligns with intention. Write this down. What small responsibilities am I avoiding that reflect bigger fears? Stage 5. The return, becoming the self. You don't come back from the journey as someone else. You come back as more yourself than ever before. Not the girl who needed praise, not the woman who needed to be perfect, but the leader who has learned how to stand steady in uncertainty, who has learned to feel fear and not collapse, who has faced her shadow and didn't run. This is not the end of your evolution. It's the beginning of conscious participation in it. Write this down. Who am I becoming now that I've stopped abandoning myself? The heroine's journey isn't just a story arc, it's a blueprint for responsibility. It gives you structure to track your growth, your setbacks, your rising, and you can return to it again and again every time a new challenge calls you forward. So instead of asking, when will I be ready? Ask what part of me still needs to grow. Instead of asking, why is this so hard? Ask, what shadow am I being asked to face here? Instead of saying, I'm not sure, say, I am building clarity through movement. In the final part of this journey, we'll craft your personal declaration, the line you come back to when fear shows up, when you want to run, when your old self whispers, play small. Because becoming a woman of depth and impact begins not with what you believe, but with what you declare. At the end of every heroine's journey, there is a threshold, a moment where she must make a choice, not just once, but over and over again. A choice between fear and responsibility, between performance and presence, between hiding and showing up, between staying in the story that keeps her small or stepping into the one that demands more of her and gives more back. For most of your life, you've been told the opposite of what is true, that it's better to be polished than powerful, better to be pleasing than decisive, better to wait than risk being wrong. Better to seem capable than to take up the space of someone who is still becoming. But that version of life only works until something inside you starts to rise. Until ambition meets soul. Until desire meets readiness. Until you realize that the life you want isn't waiting for you to be perfect, it's waiting for you to grow. And now you are. You're no longer just craving success. You are crafting it through daily responsibility. You're no longer just dreaming of impact. You are initiating it through emotional maturity. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You are choosing yourself through conscious self-leadership. Because you now know a woman doesn't become powerful when the world gives her permission. She becomes powerful when she gives herself responsibility. Responsibility not as a burden, but as a sacred agreement between her and her becoming. This doesn't mean you'll always feel strong. It means you'll act with strength even when you feel unsure. It doesn't mean you'll never want to quit. It means you'll learn to rest, realign, and return. It doesn't mean you'll always be fearless. It means you'll stop letting fear speak louder than your soul. You'll begin to see challenges not as threats, but as invitations. Feedback not as attacks, but as refinement. Delays not as failures, but as teachers. And every fear as a place that's still asking for your love and leadership. So now as this chapter closes, there is one more step to speak a new sentence over your life, one that will guide you when the self-doubt comes, one that will root you when the path feels heavy, one that will wake you up when you want to run. Let it begin simply. Let it begin here. I choose to grow up, not to retreat. I choose to show up messy instead of disappearing perfect. I choose to carry weight instead of complaining about it. I choose to build trust with myself, not through words, but through integrity. I choose to become the woman who does the things the younger me was afraid of. I choose to break the cycle of avoidance and call it what it is, immaturity. And I choose to lead my life with both tenderness and tenacity. Because I am not just here to look good, I am here to build something true. This is not a performance. This is a promise to grow, to lead, to rise. And when the voice of fear whispers again, I will answer back with courage.